Follow your heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Overstepping. At 15, I set my heart on learning. At 30, I took my stand. At 40, I had no doubts. At 50, I understood the heaven's mandate. At 60, I was attuned to the world. At 70, I could follow my heart's desires without overstepping the boundaries of what is right. This is Confucius's theory of the stages of life. Today, while watching Professor Yu Dan from Beijing Normal University on CCTV's 100 Schools Forum discussing the way of life in the Analects, I found it exhilarating. Professor Yu spoke brilliantly. However, it seemed that due to time constraints, she didn't go into depth about the phrase, follow your heart's desires without overstepping the rules. It felt like a delicious peach was just out of reach. What a pity. So, I humbly take the liberty to expand on what Professor Yu touched upon. Following one's heart essentially means to act according to one's desires. The highest state of this is acting in accordance with one's nature. However, this freedom is not the same as acting recklessly. It comes with the prerequisite of not overstepping boundaries. The word overstep means to surpass or exceed, while boundaries refer to a standard, measure, or law. Therefore, following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries means acting freely within established limits. What are these boundaries? They include the way of heaven, the natural law, state laws and regulations, the rules and regulations of organizations, the principles of benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trustworthiness, basic morality, customs, and the interests of society and others. Thus, the meaning of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries is that one may speak, act, or think freely as long as it does not harm others or society, violate customs, disrupt organizational rules, break the Constitution or laws of the state. For party members, the party's discipline. For believers, the rules of their faith. For children and spouses, family rules, etc., or go against the way of heaven and nature. Furthermore, it means adhering to the daily conduct expected of a gentleman within the scope of virtue, morality, benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, trustworthiness, loyalty, filial piety, modesty, patience, and humility. By the time one reaches 70, they should ideally have attained the state of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. This was the realm Confucius strove for throughout his life. His teachings encourage becoming a gentleman because, as he said, it is only the petty man and woman who are difficult to nurture. However, Confucius's teachings also have a side that can numb human nature. If everyone in society followed Confucius's ideal standards, we would indeed have a society where gentlemen show loyalty to their rulers, fathers are kind to their children, brothers love their younger siblings, husbands are harmonious with their wives, and all people care for one another. A natural, harmonious, peaceful, and tranquil society, free of conflict. But the problem is that if everyone becomes like sheep and a wolf emerges, all the sheep will be in danger and helpless to resist. The more virtuous a person, the more they may suffer, while those with fewer scruples often gain. By his later years, Confucius had realized the potential harm of his teachings, leading him to lament, "If in the morning I hear the way, in the evening I can die content." Though Confucius did not advocate belief in supernatural forces, he still yearned for the way. He called Laozi a divine dragon, whose head can be seen but not its tail, acknowledging his own inferiority and feeling the need to look up to him. So, it might be better to learn from Laozi than from Confucius. How do you feel about this interpretation of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries? My own feeling can be summed up as simply overwhelming. To understand the way of heaven, natural laws, constitutional laws, party rules and regulations, local customs, morality, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, human rights, and so forth requires an immense amount of knowledge. Without this understanding, one is bound to overstep boundaries, and the effort can be utterly exhausting. So, what should we do? The answer is, revere the greatest creator, revere life, respect nature, follow the way of the greatest creator, accept circumstances as they come, adapt to situations, act according to one's nature, and seize opportunities as they arise. In doing so, whatever you do will be right, whatever you say will be correct, and whatever you think will be appropriate. This is what is meant by good remains good, even if it appears evil. Evil remains evil, even if it appears good. Thus, one can keep the core principle while adapting to changes, and in this way, you can follow your heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. From the various constitutional laws set by the United Nations to the national laws of different countries, to the multitude of rules and regulations in society, laws are becoming more numerous and detailed, yet the world grows increasingly complex and filled with problems. Experience has shown that only by following the way of the greatest creator can humanity achieve the ideal society in the simplest and most effective manner. Confucius might serve well as a teacher for elementary school students, Laozi for high school, Buddha as a university professor, and Jesus for guiding graduate students. Meanwhile, Life Genuine embodies the true state of following one's heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Life Genuine has no rules or regulations. Its members have no responsibilities or obligations, and there is no one issuing commands. Yet, Life Genuine is harmonious, peaceful, and stable. Its members are motivated, strive for self-improvement, and form close-knit relationships, even willing to sacrifice for each other. If humanity as a whole could live this way, wouldn't we be entering paradise? Don't wait until you're 70 or 80 to follow your heart's desires without overstepping boundaries. Start now, even at the age of 7 or 8.